What's going on, my PT peeps and my Walking Dead family? One Eye Bri back to talk about The Walking Dead Season 8 and just the series as a whole. Discussion, is Enid the new Carl? If you have no idea what we're talking about, stop watching now if you don't want to know. Spoiler warning about Season 8 and the future of the show, the comics. So spoilers, like I said, don't want to ruin it for you if you don't know what we're talking about with the future of the comics and the storyline of Carl that we haven't seen yet on the show. But for those who want to know and discuss it, here we go. But first, guys, if you can, hit that subscribe button. Help us achieve our goal of 100,000 subscribers. If you like what we do here, we post videos about The Walking Dead and other content every day, all year round, even when The Walking Dead's not in session. But let's talk about the theory, the discussion, the information, what's been going around about it. So Carl, as you may know or may not know, if you don't know, like I said, we're going to talk about it. So Carl is going to die in episode 809. He's not dead yet, but he's bit by a walker. He's not immune. He's not any of that stuff. He's going to die. But his storyline of the comics, if you know that, there's a lot left. And there's even the future of it because he's not dead yet in the comics, which is a whole other discussion. But is Enid going to be part of that? But the most likely candidate is Judith, right? But Judith is too young. She's a child. She's only a couple years old. So how can she have some of the roles that goes forward with Carl in the comic, with Negan and Lydia and the Whisperers? But let's see what Scott Gimple had to say about it. Scott Gimple said about Carl's comic series on the show, the future of it, we're committed to keep telling the story from the comic book. Yes, it's going to be different, and yes, Negan's relationship to Carl was a big part of the story moving forward, especially in the world changes we see early on. But as usual, we do plan on telling those comic stories. So, okay, that's good and bad at the same time, where you're going to talk about the comic stories that are going forward. Well, why'd you kill the character off? That makes sense to do that. Well, the show is the show and the comic is the comic. We hear that all the time. But it's just going to be a lackluster storytelling. If the comic is supposed to be with this character and now that character is gone, will it connect? I don't know. I have my doubts. So Gimple is getting a lot of flack about killing Carl off, how he did it, why he did it. Is it just him? Was it Kirkman? Whose decision was it? It doesn't matter. It matters that Carl is going to be gone and what's the future of the show look forward. So Gimple also said it just will have to be with different people and it's a different way to tell those same stories. But we hope to still fulfill what those stories do. And then he talked about towards Rick passing the leadership torch to his son. Well, obviously, he can't do that because Carl's not going to be around. Who's he going to pass it to? Someone else, I would think, right? Gimple said it still can happen, just in a different way. We haven't seen it in the books yet. Robert Kirkman hasn't written it yet, but we're still going to try to do right by Robert's story. So that's comicbook.com. We paraphrase a lot of it, Entertainment Weekly stuff. So we put it all together in there. We'll put the link in the description if you want to read more about it yourself. But so it's going to be in a different way with different people to tell the same stories. So the comic stuff with Carl and the Whispers and Negan and the Hilltop and Maggie and Rick and Andrea and, well, now it would be Michonne. But it's just the future of the show is going to be drastically different now without Carl. Now, Carl to me is not the biggest character by any means. There's times in the series that you don't even see him for half, maybe a quarter of the season. You might see him for 4 episodes a season, 5 episodes a season. But he is, 18 now, and we thought there may be a future for him. But that's gone. Well, we have a future of him. It's just 1 more episode. But what is the future of the comic storylines for it? It's going to be broken up with different characters, Gimple says. Is it Enid? Is it Judith? Is it Daryl? Is it Dwight? Is it Tara? Is it Rosita? Is it Michonne? What's going to happen with it? I mean, the big thing is when the Whispers come around with Alpha, Beta, and Lydia. That's going to be totally different now than the Negan thing going forward if Negan gets captured. But to me, it makes sense that it's Judith based on it being Rick's child, well, Shane's child, but Rick's the dad. However you want to look at it, Rick's daughter, Judith, makes the most sense because it's Judith being, the Grimes family continuation. But again, she is so young. How can you do that? It doesn't make sense. The biggest thing it makes sense for is that it would be Enid or Henry or that's it. That's who I'm coming up with. Between the two, it just makes sense that it's Judith, but I just don't get it, guys. I just don't know how they're going to connect it, what they're going to do, if it can make sense or not, and just why the writing decided to do this, get rid of Carl. It just puts so much stress on other characters to make it force fit. It's that, square peg in a round hole. I'm going to get it in, but it might not fit right. that might be what happens on the show, which sucks because it's lacking the content and the great writing and the great character and the storyline development like we love about The Walking Dead. So I don't know what they're going to do exactly of it, but we saw what Gimple said. That's all we got for right now. We have to wait to see how it plays out. Daryl, Judith, Enid, the characters that are still alive, that are still around. Henry, possibility of the kingdom, but we'll have to wait and see on that. I would just think it would be Judith, and maybe Alpha has a boy, a young boy that's around Judith's age, and they kind of connect that way. It's just the only thing I could think of it. Maybe it's a boy instead of a girl, or maybe it's a girl and Lydia and, Judith are friends. They're little together like that. They're just a friendship that builds because, again, the big world, the big picture, rebuilding the world, working together, living together, that's the future of the show. Not just with all that war with Negan, but with the Whispers and going forward with everyone coming together to rebuild the world and the earth and the society and civilization together. Stop fighting each other and work together. That's going to be the big marker of all that war, probably in episode 8 or 9 with Carl talking to that. Probably, Daryl somewhat, but the big outlier will be with Alpha, if it's a boy or a girl, whatever, how they flip-flop the genders, because they've done that with Deanna and Reg, and stuff has been flip-flopped around, which is kind of cool. I like that. I like the show being, different for it. I don't like the character deaths, major twists and turns like that, and Carl, to me, is a major twist and turn death. I don't know how they're going to recover from that. I'm going to watch the show to the very, very end, and the future with Negan is the other uncertainty. What's going to happen with Negan and Daryl and Dwight and Simon and Jerry and the characters that are just for the show? If Carl can die, Negan can definitely die. I've said it 100 times, and I agree with that. He doesn't need to stick around. Just because he's Negan as a future storyline, that goes out the window because look what happened to Carl. He had a future storyline. They're not going to kill Carl, blah, blah, blah. And that happened, right? So anything's up in the air. Anyone can die. With The Walking Dead in the name, they say everyone's available to die and no one's like this. But I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with Rick and Negan and Daryl and Dwight and all that stuff going forward. But to me, what do you make of it, guys? What's the best solution for Carl going away? Because that's what's happening. Keeping him alive is probably the best answer, but that's not possible. That's not an option. So we have to go forward with Carl not being there. What are the gaps that need to be filled in by certain characters? I don't know. Only time will tell, and it's a general discussion video, just giving out the words with there, because I'm trying to answer a lot of good questions that you guys are posting. That's my take on it, and post your comments below, guys. Give me a follow and everything on Instagram and Twitter. We post stuff there all the time on social media. Facebook, of course, Walking Dead Community Facebook page and a group, PT channel page. We post stuff there all the time, like I said. Mystery boxes. They're going strong, $38 free shipping. You'll get it in 2 to 5 days based on where you live. You'll get 6 to 7 items, but I've been putting about 8 to 9 items, some bonus items in there as well. Just let me know your characters that you like and try to make it happen. We try to make it happy in an awesome mystery box. My book series, Fight for Us, 4 books available now. Book 5 will be out in early 2018. Just trying to continue the story of Ryan, Phil, Sean, and Matt, loosely based on my friends and my life in Florida. It's pretty awesome, guys. It's a good zombie apocalypse series. If you like The Walking Dead and all that good genre stuff, you'll love these books. I know people do already. So pick up your copies today, Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Kindle versions. Thanks, guys.